An Unheard Story, The Impact of Exclusion. Exclusion from education has long-lasting impacts on everyone involved. Once these actions have been taken, the damage is done. This is one of many stories. Actors' voices have been used to protect the mana of those involved.
Really sad. I felt like everyone was against me. I lost all my friends. Give a less harsh consequence, like a warning. You shouldn't have a straight expulsion with no warnings. They just left me. I went from being stood down, then nothing, until they expelled me. They didn't talk to me at all. On the day it started, they left me in a room by myself all day and then told me I was stood down at the end of the day. It just didn't make sense. Give kids a chance at least. Like, what I did was stupid, but it wasn't intentional, and it wasn't as serious as fighting or vandalizing or yelling at a teacher. Now that I'm back at school, I feel like a target. People call me names and taunt me. Kids come to me and say things like, "You're fat and there's nothing you can do to me. If you don't like what I'm saying, you'll get expelled." Everyone is waiting for me to make a wrong move so that they can get rid of me and make school hard every day. The consequences were way too hard for what I did. If I do anything wrong, I think they're going to expel me. Most teachers just ignore me now, and I think they hate me. Teachers who didn't even know me treat me differently, but they all seem to know my name. Um, the suspension meeting, there should have been some men in the meeting. They should have talked about it. I can't even remember the questions. I don't even understand what they were asking. I didn't really understand what was happening. Um, my grandma cried. My brother screamed at me, and everyone was crying. And then the board changed their minds and decided that I could come back to school because they made a mistake and I shouldn't have been expelled. They didn't even say sorry to me or my family.
Horrific. I was so stressed out the whole time. I had no idea what was going on. It was like being in an out of control car with no brakes. I couldn't do anything. I didn't know how to support my son. The process was stressful. And it escalated from a stand down to suspension to expulsion without any educational information about what was happening along the way. It was like a growing wave. I had no real idea what was going on. I just had to hope that there would be some sense in the outcome. The gathering of information was flawed, not a holistic look at the child. What was appalling was that information gathering was fact for this one event, but only one side of the view. The facts seemed to favour guilt from the beginning. There was no wondering about what went on beforehand and what happened for the child. The evidence supported the guilt. The guilt was then presented to the board to make a decision. That lot, the board, the BOT, made a decision without getting the full picture. My statement and my son's statements were given no thought. There was no opportunity to share my side earlier than the suspension meeting. The school's information was shared much earlier, and the Board of Trustees got time to look through it, consider it, and ask further questions. The board just wanted to eradicate anything that would make them or the school look bad or in disrepute, and they wanted to send a message to the other students in the school. That's what they said to us at the time of the decision. There was no opportunity for learning. In the meeting, there was bias. They were rude to us and patronising. They didn't ask me any questions. This totally discounted the evaluation tool. The same consequence was given to all the students involved, regardless of their level of impact. There was no thought given to natural justice. Disempowered, I couldn't support my child. Injustice, fear for him. How was I going to get him into a good school with an exclusion hanging over his name? I felt judged and unsupported, powerless. I shut down, I couldn't function. Emotionally draining. I couldn't function for the next 2 days. I went to bed crying each night. I wake up crying every morning. I cried all day. His brothers were crying. He was crying. I couldn't go to work. I couldn't eat. Um, the board revoked the exclusion. That didn't take away the pain that had been caused. There was no apology. There was a power play, no disregard, totally disregard for fair trial. The board stood in judgment. They didn't seem to care at all. They looked down at me. I should have been able to submit my information earlier. They didn't discuss anything with me or give me the opportunity to share his history and learn anything about him as a person. The evaluation tool was written up by people who didn't know him, making judgments on what his facial reactions were, making judgments such as he has no empathy. They made judgments on what my son looked like. They weren't aware of his cognitive processing disorders. Have an open mind, have the ability to look at the entire picture, not just the one fact submitted by the school. BOT could have a better makeup of people that represent the whole school population. My son should not have been questioned without an adult who knew him supporting him. It was like a blur. It was all moving so fast. I was told not to worry and to trust the process.